Thank you for tuning in to the Patricia Show. My name is Patricia. Please press like and subscribe and share this audio with someone who you may think need it. Now, this is part 2 of Judah, the Gospel of Judas. So now, remember I had told you that this is a pretty intense gospel. So I'm going to read some of this to you. All right. So this gospel was Jesus talking to Judas about, he was talking about how the world was created, how mankind was created. You can also access this gospel yourself. I've seen it on YouTube a couple of times, but you could Google it and see where you were located at. Some of the names in here, let me tell you that I cannot pronounce. So if I can't pronounce the name, I'm just going to leave it off. I'm not going to attempt to mess up the name. The great invisible spirit, the luminous cloud appeared, for he is the self-generated one, eternal, dwelling in the light that no angel has ever seen. This realism is pure consciousness, no darkness, no time, no division, only infinite radiance. The fall into creation, the birth of the Lord God. Now, Jesus is saying this is what happened. And then your religious spectrum is saying that this was the fall of the devil. So they remade this, I guess, to be the fall of the devil, which was not true. The fall of Lucifer, which was not true. A great angel by the name of Nebra, whose face flashed with fire, appeared. His eyes were glowing like lightning, and his appearance was defiled with blood. His name means rebellion. He and other angels created the material world. These beings are called archons, rulers, and they govern the physical world. They are not evil in the human sense, but ignorant of the true source. They believe they are the only gods, not realizing they came from a higher light. These angels under Nebra created Adam and Eve, but without life. Then the divine realism sent a spark of light into humanity, the soul, making humans greater than their creators. This angered the false gods. Then the luminous one sent a spark into the human body, and man became stronger than the makers of his body. So in other words, it's saying that when they created mankind, it was just like clay, in other words. There was no movement in the body until God sends forth, or somebody from that realism, God's pure realism, sent forth a divine spark. And that spark brought life to the body. and made the body actually come to life. So, okay. All right. So, Jesus came from this illuminous realism to awaken that light inside of humanity. He came not to die for sins, but to remind souls of their divine origin and show them the path back to the infinite light. The soul of every generation of humanity will die, but when these people have completed the time of the kingdom and the spirit leaves the body, its soul will ascend to the eternal realism. So let me explain this now. So basically, what Jesus was saying is that mankind has two parts, two things in you. You have an Jesus is not calling it evil, he's calling it ignorance, part of you. And then you have the divine light. So in other words, I'm going to break it down the way I'm in church. This is Patricia just saying this. So this is the way I'm breaking it down now. There's two parts of you. You have the flesh, the body, which is the evil part of you, which is always tempting you to smoke a cigarette, drink some beer, use some drugs. You talk to many women. It's just always tempting you. And then you have the higher self in you, which is the divine light. It is your job to bring the lower part of you or the evil part of you um, into control. Bring it into control and conquer that negative side of you. And then and you will ascend to the light part of you, the positive part of you. So you are here to conquer the negative part of you and bring out the light of you. And that's the two parts. So you have this negative part, and then you have the divine light of you. So the way Christians explain it was that, this is when Lucifer came and the devil came and all of this, and that's not true. If you want to think in terms of the devil, then the devil would be your flesh that's always tempting you to do this or do that or smoke this or use drugs or whatever. That would be the devil part if you want to just believe in the devil. But actually, it's the lower part of you. And then the higher part of you is the light. And that is why Jesus said, turn within, go within. Seek ye first the kingdom of heaven, and all things will be added unto you. Because when you go into yourself to bring forth that divine radiant light, it'll tell you whatever you need to know. It will illuminate your body, and it will rise you up, rise you up, and you will no longer have to fight with or be tempted by your four lower bodies. Why was Judas chosen for this? When Jesus told him this. Judas was the only disciple who understood that Jesus' body was merely a temporary vessel, a garment. By handing him over to the Romans, Judas helped release the Christ spirit from the prison of flesh, fulfilling the divine plan. You, you will sacrifice the man that clothed me, and your star will rule over the 13th icons. So, in other words, Jesus is telling Judas that he would be the gateway, not the betrayer, allowing for Jesus' body to be transcended from flesh to spirit. Okay? So, just my final saying on this: the material world is not our true home. The physical body is a temporary garment that you are wearing in order to even enter this three-dimensional world. The true God is infinite light beyond all worlds. And Judas, instead of being cursed, became the only one who knew the secret of liberation. So this is an interesting and fascinating story. Like I said, it's the Gospels of Judas, and you can go and look it up and read it for yourself. Maybe when you read it yourself, maybe you'll get a better understanding. But this gospel, like I told you in part one, was found. I think it was found somewhere near Egypt. And these were written on certain type of paper. So they said the paper was falling apart, and it took a long time for them to. I think they found this in 1970, and then they wasn't able to translate it until 2006, 2005 or 2006. So it took a long time to translate. And so these were not the only two gospels that was found. The Gospel of Thomas, because I told you about that was found. The Gospel of Judas, and I like the Gospel of Philip. Maybe I'll talk a little bit about that one. But there was a Gospel of Mary Magdalene, and there was another gospel too. A couple of more gospels. I can't remember what they were. That they found. So this is just very interesting. So now let me say this. The church rejected all of this because it was not in line with the lies they had already made up to teach. So it wasn't in line with that. So they refused to accept that. But the truth of the matter is, you can't find these type of artifacts or information and just disregard it totally. Because again, the Bible speaks about Matthew, John, and whoever is in the Bible, but none of those people were there and spoke with Jesus. Everything that they're telling you were second, third, and fourth hand. Somebody told them. These gospels that they found buried were first-hand accounts. This is what things that they know that, these people actually had communication with Jesus. So why wouldn't they want to use that? Even if they didn't understand it, even if it didn't fit with what they were saying, it was what Jesus was really saying. But I guess they don't want to use that because then they'd have to explain why did they lie about certain things, or why did they tell the public that certain things that didn't align with Jesus' teaching. Why did they make this up? They would have to explain where it came from. Okay, so anyway, I hope this was like some mind-blowing information, because when I first read it, I was like, what? Let me research this a little bit more. So I'm going to also enclose some more information on the next episodes. Thank you so much for tuning in.